All right, everybody, we are here with Gatlin Fenwick, who is the founder of Blake's Mindful Memorial Foundation. Super excited to talk to you today, get to know you, learn more about the foundation. So if you don't mind, I'm going to ask you a few questions.
All right, I'm ready.
Perfect. So what is your story? Why did you start this nonprofit?
Well, it happened because when we lost our son Blake to suicide when he was 21 years old, we inherited $6,000 from him, and we issued a scholarship to a Reedsburg student who the criteria for our scholarship was that they should be going to school for something related to mental health. And we put the scholarship application out there to the Reedsburg seniors that year, and we had like 6 applications, and they were all really good applications. We ended up making a decision to award it to Grace Spanish, and it was a $6,000 scholarship, exactly the amount that we inherited from Blake. And then after the award ceremony that night, we're like, that felt good to give a scholarship in his honor, in his name. So we're like, hey, let's do a fundraiser to raise another $6,000 to do another scholarship next year, and maybe it's something we could keep going. And then we decided to revive this triathlon that took place back in the 80s at the very property where we live. It was called the Tin Man Triathlon, and it was a just for fun event for, I think, like 30, 40, 50 people did it, and it got a little bigger every year. And 1992 was the last one. It was a little too big, and they're like, okay, let's just end this now. Yeah. And it was at that time it was like a 5-mile bike ride, 3 or 4 mile canoe or kayak paddle, and then a 1-mile run. So the course was a little different, and we weren't able to get the same land access, so we had to switch the course a little bit, and we changed it to a 6-mile bike ride, a 1-mile paddle, and a 2-mile run. And it all started and ended right at the main event grounds, the place where we live. And we had a silent auction and a bags tournament. And the first year we also had a Frisbee golf tournament, and it rained all day. We had a couple bands playing, and 50-50 raffle, food trucks, the whole 9 yards, all day party. And we raised $20,000. And then we were like, awesome, let's issue a couple more scholarships. Let's save a little money in the kitty, or just like in case maybe we wouldn't be able to have the event that next year or something. But then the next year did it again. Beautiful weather, great turnout, raised another $20,000. And then we, at some point along that line, we decided to make it an official entity or corporation, and with a nonprofit charity status, so that people who donated to it could get a tax write-off and nonprofit tax status. And then 2024 September was our third Blake's Tin Man fundraiser, and we raised at that point like cumulative $210,000 on that date. And we thought the first idea was, let's put all this money in a money market that accrues interest, and that will forever fund a $6,000 scholarship. The interest off that fund would fund one annual $6,000 scholarship a year. But then we thought that sounded a little too safe and a little too boring. And or I thought that, I guess.
I was just going to say, you seem like a person that's not always too safe or too boring. You like to keep doing all the stuff.
Yeah, I've always had a lot of entrepreneurial drive, and even in my like 23-year long appraisal career, just had a lot of side ventures and things that I started and didn't finish, and some things I started and completed, and just kind of some side projects, and always had an urge to create something that might move me out of the appraisal field, just because it's a great career, and a lot of appraisers work up until they're 80, 85 years old. Which is a testament to that field, like that you can work a long time in it. But I didn't want to be that I didn't want to be in the same career my whole life. Just always wanted something a little bit different, challenging.
Yeah.
And ended up making a big change. January of this year, sold my appraisal business to my brother-in-law and went full-time with the foundation as my main job to deliver a new program that the foundation started, which was a wellness grant. And that started right after the September 2024 event, because we were like, let's still do some scholarships, but recognizing that some students change their major, or even if they don't, it could be a 4 or 5 year process while they're in school before someone ends up getting help. We're like, what can we do? We have $210,000.
Because your intention is to help people immediately, right? Or part.
Well, that was like the missing link, because right now, back then, what we were doing is providing help with the kind of a long lead time or long timeline before someone ends up really receiving a benefit from it, other than the scholarship, that helped that person through school, but like somebody being helped with their mental health.
Yeah.
Like we wanted to do something like now. So we're like, let's do a wellness grant program. And here I thought that was going to be something that we could just do in addition to scholarships, that wouldn't be too hard or heavy to manage. But then we announced that. We made a portal on our website to say anyone who's struggling with a mental health issue can apply, fill out this application. And then on the back end, we rallied a network of wellness partners in the community, like therapists, coaches, teachers. I mean, anything from your traditional psychotherapists to breath workers, yoga teachers, acupuncturists, sound healers, animal therapy. I wish I had the list here, because there's like 20 different things. Yeah. Just, you never know what somebody's going to be drawn to, or what certain treatments or therapies somebody might be opposed to, or the different modalities that people haven't even heard of, or maybe have misunderstandings of. And then we're like, okay, this wellness grant we didn't really know what that was. Like, what is a wellness grant? There is no guidebook on what that is. And really no other models that we even really found to copy after. So we're just like, made this up. And so after the Tin Man 2024, we opened that portal and announced it on Facebook. And within 1 week, we had 30 people from the Reedsburg area apply, which was like, it was a good feeling, because we're like, wow, we have this service available, this grant program available, and there's obviously a huge demand. And while it's not an awesome thing that a lot of people are struggling, it is an awesome thing when you have a product. It's good to have a lot of demand. So that was like a good sign that what we were offering was something that our community really needed, and something that every community really needs. But then we're also like, what is this wellness grant? What does it look like? And at first we're like, well, let's just have them fill out the application, and then based on the results of their answers on the form that they fill out, we'll look at our wellness partnership, like the different wellness practitioners in our network, and then we'll issue a grant to allow them to attend one or more services of various different types, or maybe just one type or whatever. We toyed around with a lot of different things. We issued them, some of them just cash vouchers, like, here's $200 that you can go spend, and you can choose the wellness partner of your choice to go spend this money at. And then we issued some grants that were like, here's a breathwork service that costs $100. Go attend that. And some people we spent even more money on. We gave out some grants that were like 5 or 6 different sessions that they could attend, including like $400 wellness retreats, or what are some other examples? Like three months of holistic health coaching, like things that were a little bit more valuable than just like the one-off services. And we realized after the first round, well, I should back up a little bit. We got those 30 applications, and I'm like, whoa, like what do we do now? And I'm doing appraisals and also trying to do a good job at this wellness grant thing and figuring out what that was. And I got a little burnt out at both ends. Like I was selling my appraisal clients short. I was probably shortchanging the time that I should have been spending on the wellness grantee, the applicants. And I just like felt like the sign from the universe to say, Gatlin, maybe now here's your time. Like just jump in full time with the foundation, sell your appraisal company to your brother-in-law. He's perfectly primed to take it over right now. And so I just took the leap and I sold that to him and then became full time with the foundation. And we looked back at the first 30 grants that we issued and realized only half of them were used. So half of the grants we gave out weren't even used. And we're like, well, there's a number one problem there that we should address. And so we changed it to, well, now that I'm full-time with the foundation, like, let's bring these people in one by one. If you apply for a grant, come into the office and let's sit down. Let's get to know each other better. Let's go through the list of all the options we have. Let's see what different things you've heard about, things you haven't heard about, things you have tried, things you liked, things you didn't like, maybe things you misunderstand about various types of treatments or therapies. And then from there, with that better understanding of the applicant, we can, well, first of all, they have to show up for the meeting. Mm-hmm. So that eliminated some people that weren't even willing to do that. So those probably would have been the people that would have been awarded a grant and not used it. Because if they're willing to come in to go out of their way to come in for a meeting, that shows that they are taking a step to at least do the work that it requires to come in here for that meeting. And that did help things. After we started the in-person meetings, we had maybe 10 or 20% of the applicants not schedule their meeting, not come in, which was...
It's a big improvement.
Yeah, and a way to make it more efficient, like not wasting our time with any applicants that just weren't ready to take the next step forward. And we had a better improvement, but it wasn't drastic. It was like 75% of the grants that we issued were used. So it was an improvement, but it was still needed some work. And so after the first quarter of 2025 grants were issued, we looked back and we're like, how can we improve this again? Because again, it's just this product that we invented, right? This grant we invented, but there's no good reason to stay with the same model we had before. Like, how can we improve it and make it better, more efficient, more effective? So you're
continually improving your product. Like you're continually improving this grant process.
You have to. It's still a prototype, really, and it's not perfect by any means, but it is getting better. Right now, we're at 90% of the grants that are issued are being used, and that's it. It's probably going to be even more than 90% because I'm counting the ones that have recently been issued. So those people, a lot of those 10% that haven't been used, that a lot of them maybe didn't have the time yet to even schedule their service. So they organize all the folders for the applicants, and we have I think only 5 of them. There's 5 folders where people haven't come into the meeting that they did schedule, or no shows, or kind of dropped off communication. So out of almost 100 grants that we've issued,
I was just going to ask you how many grants you've issued.
It's approaching 100. I don't know the exact number. I think it's close to 90. Yeah, and it's
how does it make you feel?
It makes me feel amazing. Yeah.
It is amazing. I mean, you're helping 90 individuals. You know, if we all did our own work, we did the work on ourselves. Like we're on this journey of finding ourselves and feeling our best and doing our best. Imagine those 90 people, what that ripple effect is going to be in our community and in the state and then in the country and in the world. So you're not this foundation, I feel, is such an important, aspect of changing the face of the earth. You're doing a really good job. So I'm super, super proud of what you guys are doing and how you're doing everything. And it's really good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It does feel good. It's everything in life really can be boiled down to selfishness. And that's not, I mean, it's kind of people think of selfishness as being a bad thing. everything we do is for ourselves. Like every decision we make, every word we speak, every action we take is done because of us. And I am selfishly running this foundation because it makes me feel so good. When you pour your heart into helping others, not just in this context, but in any role that a human has, whether it's in their family or their job or whatever, your daily life.
Yeah.
The more you give to others, the better it makes you feel. It's the prouder you are of yourself, and it makes you feel good. It helps you love yourself more. And so on one hand, it appears that I'm doing this for others, and I am, but I am also like totally aware that I am doing this for myself. Like this feels really good.
Well, there's something to be said about that too. Like, understanding that what excites you and what is motivating for you is your path. It's your destiny. It's your dharma, right? Like, so, and I think like for our listeners too, it is to understand that like if something turns you off or something doesn't feel right or something is not aligning with you, there's a reason, right? Be excited about what you do. Be excited, and profound things can happen. It's our dharma. It's our path. And is this to say that you're going to do this for the rest of your life? I have no idea. And maybe you have no idea. But as of right now, like this is the perfect thing for you because you are so excited about it. You're so passionate about it. You're changing so many lives. This is such a beautiful foundation. Can we go a little bit more into detail of who is Gatlin and what is your path like with mental health and your journey to wellness?
Well, when we lost Blake, it was, obviously very difficult and a big shock. Like he left a note that said, depression is real, but it's hidden. And it was very true with Blake. It was hidden to the point where he was just so flippin' good at hiding it. Looking back, like ever since he was a little kid, he always had these energy bolts. Like he'd be sitting in a chair and he would just zing up and like run outside or something. Like, and so that carried into his adulthood where he was always moving fast. He couldn't stay anywhere once for very long, and he would change his scenario and just very energetic, very just full of energy. Like had a bounce in his walk, and was always smiling, and was always helping people. And he was always the kid that wanted to help, like throw all the wood in the firebox, and chop wood and just mow the lawn and just help, And I look back and I wonder sometimes like if that high energy was just like anxiety that, then translated into like because anxiety is like goes hand in hand with depression. And so this depression that he had, I don't know when it was, like if he was like when he was sleeping at night or when he had his days off when I wasn't with him and he was just sleeping. Like, I know my dad said there was days where he would sleep a lot, but just because somebody sleeps a lot, I mean, a lot of young kids sleep a lot, or they stay up late playing games and they sleep a lot. But there was just no signs. There wasn't a single person after Blake died that said, "Oh yeah, I saw this coming," or there were signs. I mean, I don't know. That's so like there's classes and people that teach like what the signs are to look for in someone depressed. Well, good luck, because it's hidden. It was spot on. So and back to your question. After Blake died, and of course, as a father, you just, you blame yourself, or you, or find something to blame, and it's easy to, take that weight on. And so I was either going to probably drink myself to death, or find a way to just deal with this grief and healing in a positive way, or a healthier way than coping with a drug. So that's when, I had been I'd been drawn into meditation like before that. But when Blake passed, I'm like, okay, I'm either going to drink myself to death, or I'm going to start to meditate more, because I felt that, and I went to therapy. I saw what do we call it? Psychiatrist or counselor, therapist, sit down on the couch and answer questions. And, with the insurance I had, it was kind of expensive. So I just did a couple sessions of that. I found a lot of help in meditating. Like, the more I did yoga and meditation, it made me feel good. It made me feel centered. It made me feel like separated from my thoughts, and more like just a witness of the noise that goes on in my mind, instead of driven by the noise in my mind, just sort of aware of it. And so for me, I was drawn to like yoga and meditation. And after the foundation just evolved the way it did, I recognized that, okay, this helped me, but there's other things that help other people. And so, like, let's incorporate all of it. Like, let's take all these wellness practices that exist, and this community that exists in Reedsburg. And I feel like Reedsburg's special because we have a lot of people in this world.
I agree.
In this realm, but so does Baraboo. So does, like, everywhere. These people are hidden.
I was just say, hidden, and you have to just look for them. And
yeah,
agreed.
So it's just I don't know. It was a combination of what helps other people and what I found helped myself, and then just like bringing that together to give the people options to find their own path.
So meditation, just being mindful, yoga, that's been really helpful for you. Do you have, I know, like, holistic health is part of your life. Like, what else do you do for yourself that, to take care of yourself?
Well, after I found yoga, I went in to see a Ayurveda coach, over in Ironton, and she taught me about the doshas and different Ayurvedas. You obviously know, but maybe for the listeners,
tell them.
Like the ancient, it's the most ancient, the original form of medical science. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And just like thousands of years old, originated out of India, but based on like the three doshas, the three different types of people that make up everyone at different levels, and different practices we can incorporate into our lives, and the food that we consume, and the food that maybe we shouldn't consume. But the food, like the whole concept of food being medicine is just what I was drawn to. And I don't eat perfectly by any means, believe me. But I guess it's part of like my practice that, and I learned this from you, this like rituals or routines, however you want to phrase it,
right,
are so important. Dinacharya, right? Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Your daily routine, like everyone has one. But it's easy to wake up mindlessly and just kind of, what do I got to do first? So I got to let the dog out. Now I got to eat breakfast. You run around with the kids, and you're rushing to do this and rushing to do that. And finally you get to the office and you do your work. And finding that value for myself in having a morning routine and a bedtime routine. And so for me, I copied what you told me, and I started like first thing when I wake up, and I don't do this every day, but if I would say, like, if this was my perfect routine that I did do every day, it would be wake up, brush my teeth, scrape my tongue, drink warm lemon water, and make sure that I find at least 5 minutes to just be present, be calm, be still.
Yeah.
And whether that's watching the sunrise or just, for me, a lot of times it's just sitting in my bed. I'm blessed with a nice view out my window, so it's a good place to just sit and be still. And so I guess that, and yoga, making sure I do self-awareness. Some call it meditation. You could call it like a listening exercise. It's just like sitting and being quiet and calming, breathing deeply and slowly and just calming yourself down, being aware of your internal body, like being in your body, like feeling your heartbeat, imagining your heartbeat through every cell of your body, and even just 5 minutes of that. My friend Brady, who you know, it's taught me a lot about that, the heart-brain cohesion meditation.
And you did that for a while. You've been doing that for a while.
Well, I learned that from Brady just like last October. And
you've been incorporating that into your routine?
Oh, yeah. Ever since he taught me. Yeah. It's...
How does it make you feel when you do it?
Just calm and connected to my heart, or that my brain and my heart are connected as one. So like, and it supposedly lasts for 6 hours. So try to remind myself to, if I'm doing it in the morning, I should also do it in the afternoon to continue that heart-brain cohesion throughout the rest of the day. Because it's so easy to, like Joe Dispenza has proven this with...
Who's Joe Dispenza? For the listeners.
He wrote this book called Becoming Supernatural, but he also hosts these retreats and workshops all over the world where he brings in, I think sometimes hundreds of people go to these things, and hooks them up to monitors that can monitor the frequencies or the vibrations of their heart and their brain, and then leads them through internal awareness exercises. I guess you could also call that meditation. You could call it just internal listening or whatever. But it's basically, he leads people through certain types of breath work and calming of the mind and linking that the heart to the brain. Because usually what he's found with these scientific instruments that he uses is that the vibration of the heart is different, not in sync with the frequencies of the brain. So most of us are walking around with our brain, leading everything, running everything, and the brain is analytical. The brain is just sort of fact-based or habit-based, but our heart is where where our true emotions and our true self.
So the brain would be like your ego, the safety, the place that keeps you alive type of feeling, right? Like it's that powerhouse that is the safety.
Yeah, survival mode.
Survival mode.
Yeah,
right.
For sure. Survival mode in the brain, just like routine, almost like robot mode.
Yeah, okay.
But if we can link it with our heart, we're still going to use our brain because we need to solve some problems throughout the day. But by linking it with our heart, that's just so important to the old saying, follow your heart, lead with your heart. But so many of us aren't taking the time to recognize that we're not doing that, or even a lot of us aren't even aware that that's a thing. But what he shows in his workshops, and he proves with the scientific instruments that he uses, the different brain waves, and how it's linked with the heart. And he guides people to a state of being able to have their heart and their brain in cohesion with each other. And it's real simple. The 5-minute heart-brain cohesion meditation is just, it has 3 parts to it. It has, your exhale should be longer than your inhale. You should focus on something that makes you feel grateful. And then visualize your heart pumping this electrical blood fluid throughout every cell of your body. 37.2 trillion cells, or whatever it is the body has, that the heart is pumping that electricity to. And to visualize that, and however you want to picture it, I picture because the heart chakra is green, so I visualize just for 5 minutes, sit down, longer exhale than the inhale. I think of something I'm grateful for to start it all out with. And then on my inhale, I just imagine this white light coming in from my crown and supercharging my heart to be a bright emerald green. And then every beat pumps this fiery red, electric red blood throughout every cell of my body. And it helps to put your finger, feel your pulse on your neck. It's kind of an easy place to feel your pulse, or sometimes you can feel it on your heart. And then you get in the rhythm and you feel your heartbeat And so you can visualize that every beat, the thump, and just like this electricity going to every part of your body. And it's that simple. And it's only 5 minutes, and then you're good for 6 hours.
And you do this probably every day.
I do it every day. And especially, I mean, I've been addicted to nicotine ever since I was like 13 years old. But in the last year, I've transitioned to rape medicine, sacred Amazonian tobacco, which is a very grounding, I would say it's more of a medicine instead of an addictive drug, even though I'm sure my body is still conditioned to receiving nicotine on a regular basis. I use that as a catalyst to get into a deep meditative state. So I'm
So you have an intention behind your use of the rape, and you're not wrong. Like rape is a medicine as well. Like you can have, that nicotine from the Western society where it's just laced with chemicals, made with bad intention, made for money. Like that's the type of nicotine that we have in this country, right? And if you're getting it from this wonderful tribe in the Amazon, like they're creating it and making it with this, I mean, it's literally medicine. It's herbs, it's plants, it's the tobacco medicine, the medicinal plant. And it's not to make $1 million, it's to help people, and they're making it with intention and love. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that's beautiful that you use that for your intention with your intention.
Yeah. It's like, not that I worship it, but I really do give a lot of value and credit to Father Tobacco and the shaman that creates it and puts the prayers and the intention in the rape when he makes it, or she, because it's not a crazy thing to believe, because we have these phones that receive everything and anything you could possibly imagine information wise that comes through the air to this thing that's just floating around. Mm-hmm. But then we don't want to believe that a plant can be blessed with good intention versus evil intention. Absolutely, it can, and especially if that intent, everything is intention, like a crystal ceremony or a prayer. If you're asking, if you're someone who prays and you sit down and you ask God, please give me forgiveness today, give me patience today. If that's what you want, if that's your intention, you damn right you're going to get it. So just turning those going from a mindless cigarette break to, this feels good. Yeah. Finish the cigarette and put it out, to like a ceremonial use of it, where I'm going to sit with this. I'm going to thank it. I'm going to thank the shaman who made it. I'm going to thank the earth for the little wooden teepee I used to blow it up my nose. And then I'm going to set an intention to marry my heart to my brain. Well, that's what's going to happen. And that is what happens. Everything is intention.
Well, and you just said before too, like your heart-brain cohesion. And if we're just literally like allowing our brain to run it, it's like this robotic state all the time. I mean, that's what, your smoke break is, and your chew break. Like a lot of people don't even know, there's no intention typically, right? Unless you're doing it for some indigenous ceremony or something like that, or some sacred ceremony.
Or maybe there are people that go and have a cigarette.
100%, yeah.
And have an intention with it.
Who knows? But typically that's not the case, right? It's just like a robotic state of, I need a fix, I need to do this. So yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. And I sometimes I'm like, well, I know I don't need this tobacco to put me into this meditative state, but man, it sure helps. It's
easier for you.
Yeah. And so it's like, it's just a double-edged sword. Yeah. Maybe I'm feeding a physical habit of getting some nicotine in my body, but I'm also using it as a catalyst to have a good meditation session, to set an intention for the day. So I do not feel bad for using it. My kids think I'm, they're like, Dad, what's that going to do to your sinuses or your nose? And so, yeah, I don't have a plan to use it forever, but right now it's part of my life. Yeah,
but I did a rape course with Chana, who is the shaman who makes it, that we both know. And he was asked that question by a doctor who was in his class, and he's like, what are the studies, to show that this is not affecting people's sinuses and da da da. And he said the studies show that, these tribe members who have been using it for thousands of years, he's like, nobody ever has an issue with it. Like it's not the same as how we use it in the West, like in the Western society, and that's, I think, a good example and a good thing to keep in mind. Like that's everything that we do in our life. It should be set with good intention and positive intention, instead of like, I hate my job, I need to go do this and da da da. And like, I get to go to work, I get to do this. I'm happy, I'm blessed, I am joyful. It's like affirmations, it's intention, and I think that's a beautiful way to live your life. And so many of us are disconnected from this positive intention, these in like knowing our blessings in life, and it can make us feel lost, and that's a lot of like with mental health. There's a huge crisis going on, not just in our country, but all over the world. And what are your thoughts on that? Like, where do you think that comes from?
The crisis?
Yeah. Like, why do you think there's so many people with mental health issues? Put you right on the spot.
Well, I mean, it's easy to blame phones. I think there is a correlation between mental health issues and screen addiction. It's also, I think, a lot to do with just the urbanization of our society. Like the vast majority of our population lives in a concrete jungle, and so we're not having access to nature. Just not even thinking about it. Sometimes I think about like I mean, thousands of years ago, like nobody talked about grounding.
Right. It was just you're grounding every day, all day.
Everyone is like, what the hell is grounding? What do you mean? Who's not grounded? But think of, there's people that probably haven't touched their bare foot on the ground for years. There might even be people that, I don't know, there's people that grew up in a city that have never touched their bare feet on the ground. I don't know. That's probably...
No, you're 100% right. Like we are nature, right? We're so disconnected, and that is the crisis. Is we're not connected to Mother Earth anymore. Like I think it's coming back. I think people are really understanding. That's why there's grounding sheets and grounding shoes and all these different things. It's like, just get outside, just be outside, and easier said than done for a lot of people who are in these urban environments. And but there's, parks. Like go to a park, go to your nature reserve, or, just go touch a tree. These tree huggers, like, I think they figured it out a long time ago. And here we are making fun of them for so many years. And it's energy. It's like, we are nature, get back to nature. And that's what, I mean, like with the foundation, a lot of these partners and providers, they preach that, it's like, you are nature, get back into it and reconnect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
On our podcast this morning, I was with Doug Duran, and we talked a lot about nature and just being in the woods and how that is just helpful, even though like the hunting community, or they really don't talk about it. They don't have to. I mean, this is part of their culture. But we talked about like the side effects of the positive side effects of people who are really into hunting, and like, what are they really hooked on, because they're sitting there in their tree stand for countless hours, day after day after day, if they're really, really dedicated hunter, and they might not realize it. I'm sure a lot of them do, but like the therapy that you're getting just sitting on a stump, sitting in a tree stand and watching the other day I was fishing at Dutch Hollow with two of my boys, with Jack and Fisher. And we were by the dam, and this huge bird, I mean, he was standing on the table. It was like that tall and huge head. And I'm like, oh, that looks like a hawk, but it looks like 3 times the size of any hawk I've ever seen. And it wasn't a bald eagle. Like a juvenile bald eagle doesn't have the white head yet, so I thought maybe it was that, but its head was so big, and I'm like, holy crap, that is a golden eagle. And I've never seen one other than in the display case at the Mauston High School, because they're the golden eagles. And we got really close to it and it took off. It lifted its wings and you could see the gold feathers. And I'm like, oh my God, that's a golden eagle.
Wow, that is cool.
And so just like the things when you're out in nature that you see that are like sitting in my hunting stand last year with Sasha, it was just dead silent. And all of a sudden we noticed this bird flew in, and it was like a airplane landing, but it didn't make a sound because it just spread its wings and it was landing and it came down at an angle, and it was I think it was a blue heron, but just like, and I see blue herons a lot, but to see that angle of the blue heron landing and just like, it's amazing the things you see out there. That's beautiful. And you don't, if you're really not out there with an intention of nature bathing or whatever, you're just like out for a walk in the woods and you see cool stuff. Like it's awesome.
What is the outlook for the foundation? What are your hopes and dreams for the foundation, and just like the future endeavors?
Well, I mean, like a lot of things I started, like think really big. My older brother kind of conditioned me to think even bigger than I thought before, and I thought that was big. So just I think big, but grand scale. But I also think like we raised $60,000 this last year, and we need to raise $200,000 this year to have our budget work, and under this new model, and that's a big jump. And it's been a challenge to raise money, but then I talked to a guy the other night on the men's hike, and he's like, what are your current struggles with it? And I said, well, we need some money. And he's like, don't worry about it. He's like, what happens if you run out? He's like, so what? He's like, you find something else to do. And what did you do? You just helped 150 people. And I love that he said that, because it changed my mindset, and I'm not worried about it anymore. Like, if this doesn't last forever, while it did last, it helped people. So like, that's not a loss at all.
Right.
But in a perfect world, in my mind, we're going to probably do, I don't know if it would take 2 or 3 more grant rounds before we really get a good, maybe it'll take a year before we get like a really good system in place for what this wellness grant is, how it works efficiently, like how the technology helps that happen, and how it works most importantly, effectively, like helping people and showing like provable,
measurable,
metrics, like here's another thing I learned in a breath class, like your CO2 tolerance. Like when you hold your breath and you are super hungry for air and you just can't take it anymore, your subconscious eventually takes over, and you either pass out and start breathing again, or you just take a breath. And that's your subconscious just like creating that, like out of your control, forcing you to breathe, not because your body's depleted of oxygen, because your body has a buildup of CO2. So it's like a different way of looking at it, but that trigger happens because of the buildup of CO2, not because of the lack of oxygen. But there's an easy, simple way to measure your CO2 tolerance, and it's just a simple little timer test on how long you can do a sustained how long you can do an exhale without swallowing or running out of air, or having like a disruption in your exhale. And if you can do it for like 20 seconds or 0 to 20 seconds, it's poor CO2 tolerance. If you can do it 20 to 40, it's average. 40 to 60 is good. 60 to 80 is excellent. And 80 and above is like you're a master of CO2 tolerance. But that's directly correlated with how much stress your body can handle. Not just, your mind, because we always say mind and body, or, physical and mental health. Like they're not separate. Like we think of this being a computer up here that runs a robot that exists from the neck below. We're just one thing. We're a philia. And it is just this one thing. We're an organism of action, and we can speak and communicate. And I forgot what I was going with this, but what was I saying before?
About the CO2.
Oh yeah, the CO2.
Yeah.
So stress tolerance. So if you increase your ability to tolerate CO2, you're increasing your ability to handle stress. So what the coach, teacher Jesse Coomer taught me was that if you have, say, a CO2 tolerance where your test comes back at a score of 80, you are a stress master. And if you score towards the lower end, like 10 or 20 seconds, you can be stressed out very easily. And we did a podcast on stress. Like, stress is probably the precursor or grandfather of all disease. Yeah. Like that, the stress is just all over in all different forms, and some is chronic and some is acute. But the stress is just so hard on our bodies. And then when we're in a stressful state, it's fight or flight. It's not the state for our body to be able to digest our food or repair ourselves. So a lot of us walk around on a daily basis in a stressed out state. And that's why we can't digest our food. And that's why we can't repair our bodies as easily. So I think of I would love to, outside of the world helping people with, who are struggling with mental health issues, I also think it would be really cool to use breath coaching to help athletes be better performers. And I think I don't think of professional athletes. I really don't care about that. I'm like, I want to help my sons and their baseball teams be top performers and good. But then that just leads into life. Like, if you can handle high stress on the baseball field, you're going to be able to handle high stress at your job. Well,
and what a really cool way to teach your children who are, I don't know about yours. I do know, but my kids are if I'm meditating or if I'm doing all of this mindfulness stuff or yoga or practicing any sort of wellness thing, they're like, there she goes again. She's such a crazy nut job. But if you change that to their narrative and be like, hey, this is going to help you on the baseball field. This is going to help you to be, stronger, faster, in this aspect of life. So it's kind of you can kind of trick them in a way of hey, let's practice this. This is good for your sport. This is good for whatever they're into, which it is, but it's also gonna transfer into, like you just said, into adulthood, and they'll have this tool in their toolbox to use, when they do have their first breakup or when they lose their first job or, whatever. Hopefully breakups are gonna happen, but there's different parts of life that they could use it for.
For sure.
Yeah.
My kids roll their eyes at me so much that I think I'll have to take the angle of selling the idea to their coach, and then I'm going to show up one day and give a breath class to the whole team, and they'll be rolling their eyes. Oh, there's my dad he's yoga dating again.
It's true. I get it. What are some things that you could tell our listeners? What are some things that they could do to help the foundation, to help the people in their community?
There's still money and time left. If you know anyone who's struggling, have them apply for a wellness grant. It is, and back to selfishness. It makes me feel so good to give out wellness grants, but no, back to your question. Take advantage of the program that we have in place right now, because it might not last forever. And if you can afford to help out financially, do. Or if you can think of, I don't know.
Spread the message, share the word.
Spread the word, yeah. Spread the word, share the message, and just engage. Use your breath. Don't be afraid of silence. Embrace the silence. Come up with a daily ritual. Wake up and go to bed ritual. And there's so many coaches and teachers that talk about gratitude journaling, how beneficial it is for somebody to sit down and either when they wake up in the morning or before they go to bed at night and just write down what they're grateful for. And even though I'm not in that habit, when I do my heart-brain cohesion, I am thinking about something I'm grateful for. Just that feeling of gratitude, making sure that that's embedded in your day. Another thing Doug always says, who was on the podcast today, and he's quoting someone else. I think it's Willie Ray Hubbard. That doesn't matter. Don't really care. My best days are when I put my gratitude higher than my expectations. And because it's so easy to get up and expect, expectations, the grandfather of disappointment. We cannot be disappointed if we don't have an expectation. And if your gratitude is higher than your expectations, oh man, there's, even if something goes wrong, you're still going to just be aware of, you're witnessing life unfold. I mean, thank God we have a heartbeat. I have my breath. All of us, the one thing, some of us can't see or hear, but the one thing, or walk, the one thing we all have in common, all living humans have always ever had in common, is that we have a beating heart and we can breathe. Because if you don't have those two things, you're not alive. So just that, I am thankful that my heart is beating. I am thankful that I have this breath.
So it's a miracle to be alive. I mean, you just think about all of the things in history, in the universe that had to align for you to even be here, to have a beating heart, right? Like that's freaking incredible. Like that is, it's absolutely insane. There's so many things that had to have aligned for you to be here, to experience life in this moment. It's pretty special and spectacular. And, even changing like that gratitude journal or bringing that gratitude journal back into play, that's really powerful. And the science behind that too is like you're changing the neural connections in your brain. Like you are, you're telling yourself that you're grateful for something. And even if you aren't, like, even if you don't have, you're like, I'm so damn depressed. I have so much anxiety. I have so much stuff going on in my life that I just have nothing I'm grateful for.
Yeah, I'm broke, I'm homeless and all that.
Yeah, all the things, right? But it's a mindset. And if we can start changing our mindset and realigning the connections in the brain, even if we have to lie to ourselves for a little bit, I mean, there's always something to be grateful for, but even if you can't feel it in the moment, you can start to, switch that brain, that chemistry, that heart-brain cohesion, where you are starting to realign your energy, you're realigning your frequency, because we are all energy. And if we can realign that frequency, beautiful things can happen for you, you can feel abundant by just having a beating heart. You can start feeling this gratitude, this positive force in your life. So if you are struggling, it's something we can tell our listeners, if you are struggling, really start focusing on doing some work on yourself. And that might be being grateful for something every day. Every day you wake up, what is your intention for the day? What are you grateful for? And watch it change your life. Like that little thing can be a big shift for you. This like domino effect in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's sort of a hack, even if you don't feel that gratitude deep in your heart, but you take out a journal and you write, I am grateful for this. I am grateful for that. It is kind of a hack. It's kind of a way to force you. It's kind of like if you're not happy and you sit down and you just relax, try to quiet your mind and smile, or even just tap into an inner smile. It's like, even though you might not feel like smiling, that physical act of smiling is like, it can trick you into being happier than you were before you smile.
You're releasing serotonin and dopamine into your body. Like we just did a yoga class. You led the yoga class and it was really good. I remember you said multiple times in that class, all right, we're going to smile. And every time I smiled, it just felt so good. And, it's outside, the sun's shining on your face, and it just felt good to smile. And it just instantly changes your mood. And so, yeah, smile, do it. It's so good for you. Yeah. I'm going to check my notes to see if I have any other questions for you.
Back to dreams of the foundation.
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to be a little bit yet before all of our tech is in place, and by no means does it have to be perfect, but I know there is some improvements that need to take place, and we learned something from each grant round, and we're getting really close. But once we see this system working really well for Reedsburg, effective for Reedsburg, efficient in our office, and then to raise enough money to expand and bring this to other communities, because well beyond Reedsburg, we're already touching Mauston and Wisconsin Dells and Baraboo and quite a bit of Madison and quite a few applicants from Forest County and even an applicant from Georgia, New Jersey. but we're just not ready to blow up yet. But
Right.
I will love to, once I feel like we're ready to scale and this model can just be stamped out elsewhere. Yeah, I envision Blake Matthew Mindful Memorial Foundation to be maybe a new form of healthcare.
I love it. I think it's perfect. And that's, I mean, how, if you think about it, like there's so many people that this message could reach. And, if people would go and maybe they share the message or they do their part just by maybe sharing this podcast or sharing about the information on the foundation, it could be a global impact and you could literally be a new model for healthcare. And healthcare is broken right now. The system is broken. And we need a holistic, whole, well-rounded system to get people to remember who they are again, to remember that you are not a broken being. You are this beautiful light. And sometimes it just takes a lot of work to just remove those layers so that you are not, you're not feeling lost, you're not feeling sad, depressed, and so you can have something to be grateful for.
Yeah, and to marry the current healthcare system with the holistic approach, like just those two coming together and molding together into one cohesive unit would be,
Yes.
so awesome.
Because I mean, that integrative approach is so important. I'm not going to a holistic coach for a broken ankle. Like I'm not doing that. Like I need a doctor. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like there's beautiful things with Western medicine as well. But the system in itself is broken. But you're right. Like marrying those two and having this integrative approach to both is the idea, right? Is to hopefully get that to keep spiraling, and so that you're making a global impact.
Yeah, it's the answer, is what we believe, right?
Yeah, and it's, if you believe it enough, it can definitely happen. Yeah, it'll be good. Is anything like changed for you in that, in your awareness of like a mental health, working with these applicants? Let me rewind. Has there been a big impact on the people who have applied for the grants, who have received the services? What have you seen with the people who have gone through the services?
Well, I recently started asking people like if they could rate their depression rating from 0 to 10, 10 being very depressed, when they applied for the grant versus now after they've gone through 3 different Tin Man coins. So usually anywhere between 3 and 5 months, I guess, if they attend all those. And there's only been, I think, 4 or 5 people that have gone through the process of receiving and going to the sessions for all 3 Tin Man coins. But at that very end, it's like, ask them the same question. And Nicole Duncan was a great example on the podcast where she went from a 7 or 8 to a 2, I think is what she said.
Yeah.
And, that's sort of a subjective metric, but what I want to start doing is testing people's CO2 tolerance at the beginning of each onboard meeting, and then testing their CO2 tolerance at the end, because that's a good indicator, measurable with a timer on your ability to handle stress. And so I think that would require that there's breath work involved in every applicant, but
It doesn't take that long.
no.
Like it's pretty short too,
But,
right?
yeah, I mean, the practice is easy to teach, and then it's something they don't need to go to a place or have a coach to do.
Right,
It's just like if they do it on their own, back to how much work they're going to do to put into it. But I think by and large, it's helping. I've had a lot of good feedback. So have you, as one of our health coaches, like just the feedback you've heard. A lot of people have said that that they have been helped majorly by this foundation, that they feel a lot better. Not everyone has gone from like super depressed to no depression, but it's just it's a sliding scale, or it's a, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is.
Everybody's bio-individual. Like everybody has, there's, just because somebody is, had this amazing success with what they're going through and what they did, doesn't mean that somebody else is going to have the same. And that's the beautiful thing about life, is everyone's different. Everyone's not the same. But that's not a bad thing either. If you need more help, with life in general, you need more help. Ask for help. You don't have to suffer alone. There's so many resources, and like, let this be your resource. If you are not in our community and you still want a grant, like, we encourage you to apply, right? Like, you don't have to be from the Reedsburg community. Just like you said, that you have people from Georgia, New Jersey, Forest County, Madison. You're not alone. You don't have to do it alone, and just know that you don't have to compare yourself to anybody else. If somebody else is doing something and it really helps them and you tried it and it's not helping you, maybe it's not your thing.
Yeah. It's, every time I've had Reiki or a sound bath, I feel really relaxed afterwards, but I haven't had any real profound. When I did hypnotherapy, I loved it. I mean, it brought me back to a memory of, with my mom, and there were some tears and there was some forgiveness that was granted, and like a huge weight that felt like it was lifted off my shoulder. And I didn't even know that I was going to go there in the hypnotherapy, but it's just where I did. But there's been wellness grant recipients that have gone to hypnotherapy and they're like, oh yeah, that was good. And then, like this one girl, for example, in her first Tin Man coin, she got a hypnotherapy session and a Reiki session. And she waited to the very end to do her Reiki, and she came back. She emailed me that very night. And she's like, that Reiki session was so powerful and so much better than the hypnotherapy. But then there's been people that say the opposite.
Yeah.
And there was this other girl who she received her first sound bath, and she started laughing first she cried, and then she screamed, and then she started laughing. And then 2 weeks after her sound bath, she said she was been laughing the whole time.
That's
and
cool.
she told us, she's like, I was a stone cold bitch before my sound bath, and now I'm happy. I mean, one sound bath to change somebody's life, even if it's just for a couple of weeks, is pretty amazing. But for me, it was meditation and yoga. For someone else, it might be EMDR with a
licensed therapist.
Yeah, with a licensed therapist, or it might be holistic health coaching. It might be they might find that they love floating or hot cold, sitting in a sauna,
riding a horse,
jumping, petting a horse.
Yeah, so many different modalities for different people, and that's the thing. Try to be as open-minded as you possibly can. I know, like, we have different ways that we have been conditioned or programmed to believe that this is the only way, or this is not a good way for me because of my beliefs and everything else. But the partners that we have, the providers that we have, they are loving, they're kind, they have good intention to help people. And so if you feel the call, like, apply or share the message, and just get the word out for the foundation.
Yeah, and not to forget the scholarships. Like, we're still
100%,
we do 3 or 4 this year. Keep forgetting what the number is, but if we did 3, we did $18,000 in scholarships this year. So a $6,000 scholarship, no, it's not going to put you through school. Some places it might only cover half a semester or something like that. But it's also not just $500. It's a sizable amount. So that's available too. Don't forget about the scholarship. If you or someone is going to school for that, school for something related to mental health, and it doesn't mean you're going to school to be a therapist. If you're going to school for something that will end up helping people and you're passionate about it, apply. We've awarded scholarships to people that had the plan or the major of being social workers, therapists. The first one, Grace Benish, once wanted to be, I don't know where she is now with that, but she wanted to be a brain surgeon to but not just a brain surgeon to train like every other brain surgeon. She wanted to research and discover ways that a brain surgery can help, like with the physical parts of the brain, to help people with mental health issues. And we need all sorts of different things. Back to that whole pie, right? We need good doctors. We need good therapists. We need good coaches. We just need a good community and part of our Tin Man coin program is like 3 coins. If you attend the first session, you come back, you're eligible for another one the point of that is to allow people to dip their toes in a few things, to hopefully find something that resonates deeply with them, that they can find to become a sustained practice in their life to help them get across the river. Like, not, the idea isn't to get on a boat and stay on that boat for the rest of your life. The idea is to get on this boat, have it take you across to the other side of the river so you can get off the boat. And so we like to think of the Tin Man coin as a vessel to help people float from one side to the other.
That's good. I like that. Is there anything that you would like to, share with the listeners before we wrap this up?
Just thank you for listening. We don't have a whole lot of subscribers, so and that's fine. Whoever's subscribed is who's supposed to be subscribed. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking. Thank you for listening. Thank you for caring. Even if you're doing it silently, you're doing it perfectly. So
wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being here today and for letting us talk to you, get to know you a little bit more, and learn more about the foundation. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yes.